Hey Reddit, I'm posting this because I'm still trying to process the most surreal, humiliating, and ultimately, heartbreaking day of my life. What was supposed to be the happiest day, my wedding, the aftermath has been a whirlwind, and I'm still figuring out how to move forward. I'm Autumn, 34F. My husband, Brendan, is 58M. Brendan is a widower. His late wife, Millie, passed away 7 years ago from cancer. Millie was the love of his life, and her death deeply affected him and their only child, Fleur, who is 26F. Fleur was incredibly close to her mother, and Millie's passing left a profound void in her life. I entered Brendan's life 4 years after Millie's passing. We met through mutual friends, and our connection was immediate. Brendan was kind, gentle, and had a quiet strength that drew me in. We dated for 3 wonderful years before getting engaged. I knew coming into this relationship that Brendan had a daughter who was still grieving, and I was always acutely aware of Fleur's mixed feelings about her father moving on. I tried my best to be respectful, understanding, and hoped, genuinely, for a civil, if not warm, relationship with her. From the moment Brendan and I started dating, Fleur was distant. She was polite, but there was always a chill in her demeanor towards me. I tried to bridge the gap, inviting her for coffee, asking about her life, offering support. She'd usually decline or give curt, one-word answers. Brendan always said, "She just needs time, Autumn." It's hard for her. I accepted that, giving her space, hoping things would improve. When Brendan announced our engagement, Fleur's reaction was immediate and visceral. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Later that evening, she cornered me privately. "You're a gold digger, aren't you?" She sneered, her eyes blazing with a mix of pain and accusation. "You think you can just waltz in here and take my mother's place, take her money? My dad's rich, I know that. You're just after his inheritance." I was stunned. "Fleur. That's not fair. I love your father. I've worked hard for everything I have. I'm not after his money. I want to build a life with him, not take anything from you or your mother's memory." I tried to reassure her, to explain that my love for Brendan was genuine, that his money meant nothing to me. But she remained unconvinced, her face a mask of bitter resentment. "I'm watching you," she hissed, and walked away. Despite this hurtful confrontation, Brendan and I hoped that on our wedding day, Fleur would soften, that she would put her father's happiness first. We invited her, of course, hoping for her support. Our wedding was planned to be a small, intimate ceremony at a beautiful local botanical garden. We had about 50 close friends and family members. It was a perfect sunny day, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers. I walked down the aisle, my heart full, looking at Brendan, who was beaming at me. Everything felt right. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke beautiful words about love, commitment, and new beginnings. Brendan and I exchanged vows, our voices trembling with emotion. It was sacred, intimate, everything I had dreamed of. Then, halfway through our vows, as Brendan was looking into my eyes, about to say "I do," a voice cut through the serene atmosphere. "I object to this sham of a marriage." The voice was loud, clear, and filled with venom. My head snapped up. It was Fleur. She had stood up from her seat in the front row, her face contorted with rage, glaring directly at me. A collective gasp went through the small crowd. Brendan, who had been about to speak his vows, froze, his face going from pure joy to utter devastation in an instant. Fleur launched into a tirade, her voice growing louder, more hysterical. "She's a gold digger. She's manipulating my father. She's trying to cut me out of my inheritance. She's not fit to be my mother. You're all disrespecting my late mother, Millie, by allowing this. This is a disgrace." The words hit me like a physical blow. Humiliation washed over me, hot and sickening. My dream wedding, my sacred moment, was being shattered by my own stepdaughter, in front of everyone. I felt my cheeks burn, tears welling in my eyes. Brendan looked utterly heartbroken, his eyes wide with shock and guilt. Security, who were discreetly present, quickly moved in. 2 guards gently but firmly escorted Fleur out of the ceremony area. But not before she screamed one last time, her voice echoing through the garden, "You're all disrespecting Millie. She's a gold digger." The scene was chaotic, heartbreaking. The joyous atmosphere of our wedding was utterly shattered, replaced by stunned silence, whispers, and the lingering echoes of Fleur's accusations. The reception, held at a nearby pavilion, was overshadowed by Fleur's outburst. Guests were visibly uncomfortable, whispering amongst themselves. Many came up to me, offering awkward apologies for Fleur's behavior, expressing their sympathy. I tried to put on a brave face, but inside, I was crumbling. Brendan was devastated. He spent most of the reception looking utterly heartbroken, consumed by guilt over his daughter's actions. He kept apologizing to me, over and over. We spent our wedding night not in joyous celebration, but processing the events, unsure of how to move forward with Fleur, or if we even could. The dream wedding was a nightmare. 2 days after the wedding, as Brendan and I were trying to salvage some peace, there was a frantic knock on our door. It was Fleur. She looked visibly distressed, her eyes red and puffy, her clothes disheveled. "Dad." "Autumn," she cried, rushing inside, "I need to move back home. Mark broke up with me. He said he can't deal with my family drama after what happened at the wedding. I have nowhere to go." Brendan and I exchanged a look. Her boyfriend, Mark, had broken up with her? That was fast. "Fleur," Brendan said, his voice tired, "what happened at the wedding was unacceptable. You humiliated us." "I know," she wailed, "and I'm so sorry. But it wasn't all me. Diana dared me to do it." My ears perked up. Diana. Brendan's ex-girlfriend from before he met Millie. A notoriously manipulative woman who had caused trouble for Brendan in the past. She had been completely out of the picture for years. "Diana?" Brendan roared, suddenly furious. "What does Diana have to do with this?" Fleur, seeing she had spilled the beans, stammered. She told me you were getting married, and she said you were forgetting Mom, and that Autumn was a gold digger, and she dared me to object. She said it would be epic and serve Autumn right for taking Mom's place." Brendan's face went from angry to a mask of pure disbelief and rage. Diana had manipulated his grieving daughter into sabotaging his wedding. The audacity. Despite Fleur's distress and her revelation about Diana, neither Brendan nor I were willing to immediately welcome her back into our home. The hurt she had caused was too deep, too recent. "Fleur," I said, my voice firm, "what you did was incredibly hurtful. We can't just let you move back in right now. But we will help you find a place to stay. We'll help you get on your feet. But you need to understand the consequences of your actions." Brendan, still reeling from the Diana revelation, nodded. "We'll help you find a short-term rental, Fleur. But you can't stay here. Not yet." A week later, a new level of absurdity unfolded. Fleur returned to our house. But this time, she wasn't alone. Diana was with her. Diana, looking impeccably dressed, a smug smirk on her face. "Brendan," Diana purred, ignoring me completely, "we need to talk. Fleur has suffered severe emotional distress due to Autumn's actions. We're prepared to sue for emotional trauma. We have a very strong case." I stared, dumbfounded. Emotional distress? My actions? She was trying to turn me into the villain, after she orchestrated the wedding sabotage. Brendan, however, was no longer the naive man I had met. He had seen Diana's manipulation firsthand through Fleur's confession. "Diana," he said, his voice cold, "get off my property. You have no case. And you have no right to be here." Diana scoffed. "Oh, I think I do. After all these years, Brendan, you owe me. For taking care of Fleur when Millie died, for being there for her when you were too busy grieving. You owe me for being the stable female figure in her life. This is just a small repayment." Her true motives became clear. This wasn't about Fleur's emotional distress, it was about Diana trying to extort money from Brendan, using Fleur as a pawn. She was trying to capitalize on Brendan's guilt and his daughter's vulnerability. Brendan and I stood our ground, refusing to be intimidated. We told them to leave, or we would call the police. They eventually left, Diana muttering threats under her breath. After that incident, there was silence for a few weeks. Then, a text from Fleur. Not angry, not demanding. Just, "Autumn, can we talk? Please. Just you." I hesitated, then agreed. We met at a neutral coffee shop. Fleur looked different. Gaunt, tired, but there was a raw honesty in her eyes I hadn't seen before. "Autumn," she began, her voice trembling, "I am so sorry. For everything. For the wedding. For what I said. For letting Diana manipulate me. She cut me off after the lawsuit threat didn't work. Mark is gone. I've been homeless for days. Sleeping in my car. I hit rock bottom. I realized I have nothing. Because I pushed everyone away. I was so angry, so lost after Mom died, and Diana she filled my head with poison. She told me you were evil, that you were taking Dad from me. I believed her. And I was wrong. So wrong. She started to cry, truly cry, not the manipulative tears I had seen before. I need help, Autumn. Real help. I want to go to therapy. I want to fix myself. I want to fix things with Dad. And I want to apologize to you, properly. You didn't deserve any of that. My heart ached for her. The pain of losing her mother, the manipulation by Diana, it was a potent cocktail that had clearly led her down a destructive path. Brendan and I had known she was struggling, but we hadn't realized the depth of her despair or the extent of Diana's influence. I called Brendan immediately after. He was emotional upon hearing Fleur's heartfelt apology and her admission about Diana. He was heartbroken by the extent of her suffering, by the fact that his daughter had been homeless. While he did not immediately offer to let her move back in, we had agreed on this boundary. He expressed a profound willingness to help her get back on her feet. She needs therapy, Autumn, he said, tears in his eyes. Real therapy. Not just for this, but for Millie. For her grief. For everything. I supported Brendan's decision to reconcile with Fleur gradually. We agreed that individual therapy for Fleur was the absolute first step. She needed to address her grief, her anger, and the patterns of behavior that had led her to this point. We offered to help her find a good therapist and cover the initial costs. We also offered to help her find a safe, affordable place to live, separate from us, giving her the space to heal independently. The wedding day that was supposed to mark the beginning of a new chapter for Brendan and me turned into a dramatic and painful ordeal. However, through the chaos, there is a glimmer of hope for healing and reconciliation. Our new marriage, though starting with such a traumatic event, feels stronger for having weathered this storm. We are committed to supporting Fleur as she seeks help and works to rebuild her life, but on her terms, and with healthy boundaries in place. The journey ahead will undoubtedly be challenging, filled with difficult conversations and emotional hurdles. But it is a necessary step towards healing for all involved, a chance to rebuild a family, not on obligation or manipulation, but on genuine love, respect, and understanding. Since you made it to the end, you obviously enjoyed the video, so please subscribe, comment your thoughts on this situation and leave a like.